your own tales of woe in your own wards and communities. Unfortunately, it's the larger communities and incidents which generally take up most of the coverage. A flood which impacts hundreds of people often makes the news. Sadly, it's the smaller, more remote communities which get forgotten, and indeed that is what happened to residents and businesses down the end of Wolf Road, Stanford. Toward the end of November, early December, myself and ward colleagues were plagued with issues following heavy downfall. Down the remote underpass of Wolf Road, which is directly underneath the floodplain, is a small community of homes and businesses which were effectively stranded, quite literally up the stream without a paddle. It is here I will quickly reflect on 3 points: issues of access when flooding occurs, how we get people access to emergency services in such conditions, and fixing one of the problems which made this ordeal significantly longer than absolutely necessary. In terms of access issues, we heard stories of residents not being able to leave the area, not being able to get to work, not getting the kids to school, not being able to operate their businesses. I won't bore you with much further detail on the flooding. My issue today is around the turnaround, about how long it took to control the flooding and allow people to leave the area they were stranded in. This event also raises the question of what people do in the event of an emergency. How do they get out to essential emergency services? How on earth does an ambulance get to someone having a heart attack at the end of the road? To use an analogy, the restriction of access mimics the issues in East Tilbury when the train line or the barriers go down. What do people on the wrong side do? In the Wolf Road instance, the local pumping station failed, the station which intercepts the rainwater and processes it. As the station failed, the underpass under the railway line flooded, and it stayed flooded. Not just for the morning, but well into the afternoon and early evening. Imagine being one of the stranded people, up at the end of the lane, making a phone call to your boss that morning, and then again in the afternoon, slightly uncomfortable. Machinery fails, I can get over that. The issue at hand here is the access to the pumping station, which has been completely restricted following railway works in summer 2013. Quite unintentionally, but restricted nonetheless. Clearly the next step is to correct the access issue. One problem. We need the help of 2 external agencies / organisations who now hold the lifeline in getting this matter sorted. Unfortunately, few are budging. No one is coming to the game to get the access to the pumping station back once and for all. There are money considerations and someone has to pay. It's unattractive. Again, I can get over the politics. Is it DP World? It is their port. Is it Network Rail? It is their train one. Or is it Thurrock Council? Truth be told, while these agencies debate the whys and wherefores, our local people are suffering. And this is where everyone in the chamber comes in. To get everyone working together, I would like for the full chamber to get behind the residents of Stanford and say very clearly, please, get together, sort the problems out and get a plan delivered which will make sure that the access to the pumping station is reinstated. This isn't an instruction, it's a plea. I pray that members of the council sympathise and join with me and local colleagues in making this point clearly. Cutting off community unnecessarily is unforgivable. Please, to every agency that has an ability to make this situation better, who has a lifeline for residents at the end of Wolf Road and can have a part in making sure pumping station access is reinstated, who may have a role in saving a life at some point, please get together and sort this out once and for all. I hereby.
And I was made aware when I was leader of the council some years ago that this actually now fell under the remit of the owners of that site down at Tyson's Fertilisers, i.e. screen demolition or BDC concrete. I know that the former Director of Sustainable Communities had very lengthy conversations with the owners of that site at the time and was at that time negotiating to get that pump, the actual servicing and maintenance for that pump sorted. But this pump was installed back in 1958. That means that many of these parts are obsolete, and the only way around to getting this now sorted is to have a brand new pump system put in place. We hear about the actual rainwater being blamed for that underpass being flooded. That's not quite true. There is a water table there, and this time of year, when the adjoining lake, just literally on the other side, starts to fill, that actually backs up into a large holding tank down there, and that's when this pump starts to fail because it cannot manage the amount of volume of water. Like Councillor Tolson said earlier, Tyson's Fertilisers, they had a dedicated maintenance team there where street lighting was available from the top of that hill, under the underpass and back to Tyson's Fertiliser plant regular maintenance of road sweeping took place. And unfortunately, when they packed up, the owners of that site did carry on that obligation. I think the council has been quite good in trying to help out there, but you know, I would certainly urge that if the owners do own this pump still, then the council will have to try and insist with the owners of that site that this pump is actually replaced, not bodged up, because it's unforgivable that people cannot go to and fro from work or school or whatever, and it is very, very dangerous. You know, if someone has a health scare, that the emergency service can't reach.